The first touring bike on this channel is going to be a Honda. Let's head to Bigwing Honda and check it out. So at the Bigwing you'll get to see the entire range of bikes, and the collection is quite nice. They're very good looking bikes and I'm going to be riding all of them. This is the bike that I'll be reviewing first. This is a Transalp. It's a 750cc 95 bhp bike. It's a tourer. It's an adventurer tourer and has a nice 17-liter tank. Should be an interesting ride. Well, after a really long break from biking, I am back on a bike and I'm starting off with a Transalp. It's a 750cc dual cylinder. So I'm sure you heard the specs before this. This is my test ride and then I'm going to be sharing my first thoughts about it from someone who's revisiting biking after a really long break. So one of the things about getting back on the bike after a long time, you relive the joy of riding the bike, the freedom, the thrill that's there. And this bike really gave that to me. So now let's talk about the overall feel of the bike. Talk about this. It is a really good wind deflector and they're giving a nice high one. Therefore, even when I was riding without my visor on, I didn't feel wind hitting my face. So I can imagine if I'm doing a long distance ride, I'm going to have very less wind fatigue with riding this bike. Now the engine. Well, it lives up to the Honda reputation. Buttery smooth and no extra vibrations. And now the engine heat. Being in city, the fan did kick on a couple of times, but I didn't feel any heat coming onto my legs. Once again, no kit, so I could actually make out the difference. Now, let's talk about the rider cockpit. While the overall layout is very nice, very ergonomic, my only crib over here is the location of the horn switch vis-a-vis the indicator switch. Normally it's the other way around, the indicator being up and the horn being below. And it is a little bit of a learning curve to press the horn and not the indicator. And now the instrument cluster. Nice LCD screen. All the data that you want is there. The only other crib that I have is the location of the pass thing. It is on top. I would have preferred it in front, as that means my hand doesn't have to twist to press. Next, let's talk about the rideability in city. This is a big bike. It's 750cc, but it handles very beautifully. It doesn't feel bulky or big in the city. I did manage to weave through traffic, despite me not being very used to the bike. I did manage to weave through traffic without any troubles. The clutch, that is a beauty in this bike. Being a cyclist, I'm used to using 2 fingers on the brakes and the clutch. And this bike, I continued using 2 fingers to press the clutch, which is again a big plus, especially when you consider in traffic, you're going to be pressing the clutch a lot. And a hard clutch is going to give you a lot of arm ache. I did do a small night ride in this just to understand how the headlight is, how bright is it, and if it's sufficient. In my opinion, this may not be sufficient if you're going long distance because it is bright but not that bright. But in city, this headlight is more than enough. The turning radius of this bike is quite nice considering it's a big bike. It did not feel unstable or difficult to take a U-turn even in a narrow street. So seat height on this bike is quite nice. I'm about 5'8" and this was comfortable. I did not feel that I had to stretch on my tippy toes to keep my feet on the ground. The fuel consumption of this bike, as per the Odo here, gives me about 18 to 19 kilometers per litre, which considering it's city traffic, stop and go traffic is quite nice. With an on-road price of a little under 14 lakhs, this is the Honda Transalp.